Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Chakra-Care for the Creative Soul. What has your relationship with AI been like so far? Are you infatuated with it? Perhaps even have you put it on a pedestal? Has it even tempted you to outsource your creativity or even doubt it just for a moment? On today's show, I am super excited that there's a wonderful guest on today who's going to be engaging in this conversation, and you're invited to engage in it too. Elli Smith, a coach, retreat host, and creative instigator. I love that. I get goosebumps when I say it. Based in Southern California, she helps women recognize what's been blocking them and live more fully into their dreams. Who doesn't love that? And she does this through one-on-one private coaching, embodied creative practices, immersive retreat experiences. And she is the creator of Drawing the Unconscious, which is a meditative, sorry, I'm stumbling over my words because I'm getting excited, mark-making practice, and host of, and I love the name of this, She Runs Wild, a women's retreat on the Olympic Peninsula this August, so it's coming up real soon. And she is, by her own description, a certified moonbeam. Who doesn't love that? So today we'll be discussing how evaluating and valuing your creativity makes your dreams possible. That was an interesting twist of the tongue. We'll lead, exactly, creative moment right there. We'll lean into how to embody a relationship with your inner creative technology so that you can navigate the AI age more divinely empowered than ever before. Elli, I'm so happy you're here. Welcome, warm welcome. And so happy you're here.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, I'm excited to have this conversation. And every conversation I've had with you, I always walk away like inspired and connected. So let's see what we can do today.
Likewise, very much so. Like I love your energy. I love your creativity. I love your authenticity. I love how you trust your creativity. And I feel this is a really important maybe first point I want to lead with today's topic, because when I felt into, what wanted to come forward today and just sort of intuitively, it was, I don't know if you've been noticing this, but it's like with AI, it's a relationship, just like we have relationships with our friends or our family or romantic partners, in the sense that, do we give all our power away to someone else to fulfill us and make us happy? Do we believe that someone can do it better than us? Or do we try to have that sort of balanced relationship where there's space for both of us? And so, because AI has been here for a while, it's really ramped up lately, and it's not going away anytime soon. So it's not about sort of binary thinking, AI good or bad, or yes or no. It's more about how are we going to be with it, and how does that affect our relationship to our own creativity? Any thoughts about that?
Yeah. You said binary thinking, and I was like, oh yeah, binary thinking did create AI, but right, zeros and ones. Okay. So, yeah. I was like, it did create it, but yeah, I think, okay. So backtrack a little bit. Obviously, like, we're all using AI now, or at least everyone I'm talking to. And at first it was like, what is this thing? And then it's like, I'm going to use it for everything. I'm going to create posters. I'm going to discuss all my medical issues. I'm going to tell it all my emotional states. And then for me, at least, I like took a pause, because it got a little, I was like, I'm kind of just staring at a screen all day long. And like, I needed to like reconnect with, I guess, the human aspect, right? Like the 3D world. And I think now I found like a little bit better of a balance, which is nice. Between, I think what you said was smart, of like, you're in a relationship with it. So you have to like nourish your own self and your own creativity. And then I like using, but I think it's a fascinating tool, and it has inspired creativity in me, which I think is useful. And it is a tool. So we have to like also keep coming back to our own the brilliance of our own imaginations and dreams. So yeah.
Yeah, I love that because I even with my students that I teach, I say I was joking with them. The latest in technology is the pencil, you know, and I mean and back in its day and age, the pencil was the latest and greatest in technology, right? And you can write someone a thank you letter with it, or you can poke someone's eyeball out with it too. You know, like it's the consciousness that we bring to using tools, right? And so I just I just bring that up because I know that you're so passionate about creativity as a way to really help women and people in general just connect to their dreams by connecting to themselves. And that's what I sort of felt as you were saying that the I so could relate to what you were talking about, like the initial, you know, ooh, ah of AI and what is this new toy, and and the sort of wanting to almost, throw the baby out with the bathwater kind of thing, and just like go whole hog on it and jump into it. And then having this, I'm curious, what was that moment inside of you when you're like, I think I need to step back, because like you said, I could be on a screen all day. Let's visit there for a moment and see what's going on over there. I'm curious.
Yeah. I think the moment was because AI can really feel. So I'm using Claude, and so Claude can really feel like a human person, And I think the moment someone was just like talking about like, oh, what's a machine? It's like, like this isn't a person, and something just clicked for me, and I was like, oh yeah, like this isn't a person. This thing is wrong a lot, and like I can like redirect it in any given way. And then I was like, okay, let me take a pause. Like, I need to like reevaluate my human connections as well, and like check back in with those, and like kind of like remember what this AI is. At least at this point, maybe at some point it'll be evolve, and we'll evolve together or not. Who knows? I don't. But yeah, just interesting to keep it as like disentangle myself a bit from it, and remember who I was and what I love to do, and then use it as a tool, not so much as like depending on it to tell,
Yeah.
like I'm the director, you're helping me, not like tell me what to do. What do like I think we can get a little desperate in outsourcing our own like agency. So
Oh, I love how you just said that, like you phrased that, outsourcing our own agency, right? Because as you were sharing, a couple of things pinged for me. Like I saw them really clearly because of the way you shared it. And it was, first of all, when you said the dependency, and even before the point about the dependency, that just the like do it for me kind of, thing. And it's like, it made me, the word mirror popped into my awareness, right? That it is a mirror, like everything out there, including our relationships with others, just to link it back to relationships, are a mirror, right? And so when we're engaging with AI from that sort of perspective or frame of reference of like, which I think is part of the process, part of the dance of encountering this new, experience out there. It's like a judgment-free zone here. It's just we're playing with possibilities and different ways of looking at things on the call. It's this, where like a question that pops up is like, the way you do one thing is the way we do everything, right? So it's like, where else in my relationships have I been tempted to do that? And again, it's not with judgment, it's with curiosity. And this is where the self-care as a self-care coach comes in for me too. Like, how do we care for ourselves in the age of AI? And how, and this relationship we have just is an extension of the other relationships we have, right? So just, it's not a place to judge or criticize ourselves. It's just a place to become more mindful and aware of, and when you said outsourcing our agency, it's like, I was watching one of your Instagram videos just this morning because I was like wanting to like, just, get ready for our talk today. And I noticed there was one where you're just doing a doodle, and actually I feel badly. I shouldn't have just said just doing a doodle. You were not just doing a doodle. I take that back because I just witnessed myself saying that. That's a program default thing because you were tapping into the unconscious, and I want to go there in a second too. But just before we do, like what I noticed was how you were trusting the discovery process of what was emerging from within you, right? And so, and as you mentioned, in working with AI, it'll shift either way, back and forth, this and that. That was one thought I had. Oh, and I know the other thought that's really important. So we're going to come forward to that in a moment. Lateral thinkers that we are. But yeah, the other thing too is, and this all circles back into your work with creativity and tapping into the unconscious, like recognizing those patterns we have, you know, in relationship. And I think that the danger, potentially, I'm going to use the word danger judiciously here with AI, is that we can just give it all away because it can do it better than us because somehow we're flawed on some level. There's that unconscious, perhaps limiting belief we might have at first, or we're time stressed or pressured and we want to have time relief, which it can give us. None of this is necessarily right, wrong, good, or bad, but it's just the when we have that default without the awareness, that the curiosity piece is what I think keeps the humanness in it, right? Like understanding, because here's the thing, like with that doodle you were doing and anything creative, and I'm curious to ask you, this will be my next question. There's so much that can come up emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually when you are creating something, especially something where you have no idea what it's going to be. You're just trusting the process, which is a lot of the way you like to work, right? With the mark making. And there it's like there's an openness, whereas there could be, there doesn't have to be. Again, this is the consciousness piece with AI. There, it could be also reinforcing a wounded place in us that it can do it better than me. Like if we, especially if we are used to giving our power away to someone in authority, you know, that's a childhood pattern or something like that. That's how I sort of have been reflecting on it myself with my own experiences with it, like this idea something can do it better than me, faster than me, more sophisticated than me, and then like you notice it's sometimes wrong. So anyways, I want to put all that on the table. That's a big buffet of different thoughts and things. I don't know if anything is pinging for you, but those are just some random things that kind of came up as you were talking, and I wonder about them.
Yeah, I love your buffet, and I love a buffet in general because I want to try all the things. But yeah, I think one of my coaches is Annie Lala, and she would always say like what would you do in your life if like no one was coming to save you, or like if your husband, partner, wife, whoever wasn't gonna come hang that picture for you, or whatever the thing is that you put off and like put onto somebody else. And I was really thinking about that because I think this is like directly relevant to how we use and access AI. It's like you could, like you're saying, like, and I love that, like the childhood wound of kind of like defaulting to authority, because I definitely do that. And I see myself as an adult out in the world, and like if someone in my group is a little bit more like authoritative and a little bit more stern, or seems like da, 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 I'm like, I instantly kind of fall in line. And then I have to check myself and say like we're all creating our realities, and like in these power dynamics in most cases, like certainly there's some scenarios where um this isn't so clear cut, but like in this world that I'm living in, like I do have agency and like the ability to kind of like shape conversation and shape it is power, but it's also responsibility. So yeah, it all kind of like ties back to that, like what is your role in any given situation, and what power are you sourcing, and how can you problem solve and actually grow and learn and become the best version of yourself, so that you can take care of your own problems. And what would the world look like if we were all doing that, right? um, and that isn't to say we live alone in a bubble and don't need community, because we absolutely do. And what would those communities look like if we were all, thusly engaged in our own like magnificence, right? And so if we can approach AI with, I think, that mentality of like a thought partner, and like, because I think there's certain things that it does do better, like I can't organize information that fast, and pulling from so many sources, like the time element is real, like it can do things very quickly. And then also, do we want to be, is it helping us, or are we now just spending all our time with AI and not using it as a tool, and then disengaging and like, existing in the world around? But yeah.
Yeah, I that actually, I love how you put that together too. Like that is, I think that's what I've been, you articulated what I've been sort of feeling into, is that thing about finding that balance between it's something that is a tool and assistant, but it doesn't replace that human contact, and that, you know, it's about, again, remembering, defining it for ourselves in a way that is maintains a healthier balance. And like you said, it can do certain things really, really quickly, like computational things, structural things, in a lightning speed. It's like, whoa! But you, not even if you blink, you miss it, right? It's pretty amazing. So in that way, it can be a real blessing in terms of allowing us to have more time to be with loved ones and connect, because we're not spending hours slogging at doing something. It is that time freedom piece, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you know, it's interesting too, because there's a lot of discussion out there. Oh, actually, before I share that, you had another fun thing on your Instagram about, and this made me giggle, which I think was your intention, and that was, I wonder what would happen if the world all laughed together at once.
Right.
I love that.
It'd be like a tsunami of laughter.
That should be like a movement, because a fun little sidebar, quickie story. When I was growing up, on my mom's side, they were farmers, right? In rural Ontario. And we went out to visit my great grandmother's farm that the neighbors had bought. It was a 100-acre farm. And we were curious as kids just to be there. And the new neighbors had put livestock, cattle, behind the barn. And we climbed up, my brother and I climbed up on the wooden fence to get a better look at all the cows. I think I was like 11 years old. He was 9 years old. And I can't remember whose, but one of our feet slipped and we kind of went like this, and the cows got spooked, and 50 cows in unison. I kid you not. I can't remember what I did yesterday sometimes, but I still remember this story. Jumped up and down in unison in perfect synchronicity. And then we got reminded, don't spook the cows because then they won't milk. And I've carried that story with me, in terms of for so many reasons. And it just making me smile now when you talk about, if we were all, that, because we all are interconnected. And what would that radiate out into the world? So it ties back into the piece you were sharing about personal responsibility. If we're just responsible for our creative energy, like, how are we directing it? How are we using it? And the problems all have creative solutions, right? And I feel like here on earth, the school is all about opportunities to remember how creative we are. So everything that we call problems are just, creative possibilities waiting to, like, help us, flatten out that cardboard box we've been living in just a little bit further, and expand our sense of, hey, oh my goodness, there's a wider vista than I thought, like, I'm not living in the confines of this, right? So I'm just really curious, like, the mark making, that work that you do. Do you want to share a little bit with anyone listening about what that's all about?
Yes. So for me, it started in grad school. I was in a really intense graduate program, and I found, like, in between, writing papers and classes and like intense thinking, that like I would just start scribbling. Here, I got my little notebook here. I was doing some the other day. I just start like scribbling on paper, and then like tracing the lines, just like not thinking, not thinking was the whole point, because my brain was like so done with thinking. But and then I got really into it, and I was like, oh, it's like drawing the unconscious, because you're turning off the thinking part of the brain and just like letting my arm move. And I put on like meditative music and kind of just like make it a whole thing and like get into it. And I like discovered this process, and like this process has been used by many artists throughout, probably since the pencil was invented. So I'm not claiming it as like, I'm basically saying like I've tapped into this thing that many other people have tapped into, which is like very much part of like what this is, like this unconscious, right? And so for me now, it's like, it's a way of making marks on the page, making visible the invisible world, which I think is so fascinating, because I love dreams, I love imagination. And then like through creativity, we're able to like harness that and bring it into the 3D world. So in some ways, like the drawing the unconscious, it's a little window of map making into your, I don't know if we say soul, creativity, psyche, the unconscious world that we can't see. Now we can see, because you can draw it out and then take a pause and reflect. And I love doing it with a partner, so someone else can say, oh, what this brings up for me is da 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 da, and suddenly you've, like you said, like you've knocked down a cardboard wall of your life. You're like, oh, like it makes some of these patterns, our invisible patterns, it can make them more visible, or it can clear space, like kind of clearing out all that stuff. And then maybe you do your creative project, or then it's actually good, I find, right before writing, because then I often want to just like free write, because it just gets you in a kind of or it can get me into like a flow state. But yeah, so I love drawing the unconscious. I actually got to prototype it and test it in my grad school program, which was really cool. So we did drawing the unconscious. We ended up doing dancing the unconscious, which was wild. We had like paper out in a dance studio, and people were drawing with their toes, and like got real like super flowy. And this is like at Harvard, like these were like math students doing this, and they were like, this is the best thing I've ever done. Not the best thing they've ever done, but like they really enjoyed the freedom of creativity. And they took it, two of my like students that loved it the most were physics majors, and they were just like, this is really helping me like in my math world. And I was like, hey, like some of the greatest mathematical thinkers had to be creative, right? Because we're creating new things, like new ways of thinking and new ways of understanding the universe. So yeah, so I love drawing the unconscious, and I just do it now for myself, and then lead it in groups, because it's really fun to do as a group as well. It's like kind of like going to a yoga class together or something. There's like some synergy in a group dynamic. But
yeah, oh, definitely, for sure. It's like you can't make that stuff up. Like people gravitate together. I've seen that with chakra dance workshops too, right? What comes up for people often is a beautiful confirmation, affirmation, mirror, and it helps people to feel more connected to themselves and connected to each other. And like some of the universal themes that come up in groups are amazing. And I love that you dropped in, the part about the business and the science people coming in and how it helped them, because I feel like this is one of the reasons why sometimes, yeah, and I really want to honor and respect your humility, acknowledging that, this has been done for a long time by artists and creative people. And yet, the curious thing for me, and it popped up as you were sharing that, is why is it then that there's this, I don't know if it's like an internal resistance, or that's over there and I'm over here, so I just won't, like, that, because it is so helpful. It is like, when you even had another Instagram post where you were talking about, uh, what does your mark or image have to tell you today? And I thought, like, that's, we talk about asking AI, for feedback. There it is. That's pinging for me. I'm getting goosebumps right now. but you have your own, Greg Braden talks about that so much, your own inner technology. So it's like, that's the sort of the yin and yang, the inner, the outer, hermeneutic thing I'm sort of feeling into here, that it's like, and even Marshall McLuhan talked about high tech, high touch, right? Back in the 60s. And it's this idea of like, the more technologically advanced the outer society gets, the more it's calling us to kind of counterbalance that, because we live in a dualistic world, into like having a deeper connection within ourselves. So that creates the balance. Then we can soar with the outer technology, because we've also harnessed and anchored something inside of ourselves. And therefore it's a beautiful complement, rather than a this or that, or an either or, which is lopsided, and creates more imbalance. When we have that balanced connection, rooted connection within ourselves, as you say, embodied connection, and then you take that awareness, embodied awareness and level of consciousness, and you partner with, the tech, the AI, then it's a totally different dance. It's a totally different relationship. And I think it's juicier, I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. It made me think, when you said like the outer technology, it kind of like, it made me think like it's calling us, it's calling like our inner technologies up a little bit more. And then for me, like, it just brought up how important the actual process of how we do things is. And like, because I'm thinking like, oh, we've built these like amazing, we've built the pyramids, and we've done these things, and like we built railroads in America, but like who built them, and like who was brought over as like forced laborers, and how were these things created? And so it's like a real moment of like, if we're going to continue building magnificent technologies to like match our internal to the external, it's like absolutely pertinent to do so in a way that doesn't cause harm to other people. And like, and I think that goes back to what we were originally saying about like our absolute agency. Like we have to be so like vigilant and in how we treat people, and how we do and live out in the external world. Because if we do, act with excellence and integrity, what magnificent things could we build? And what magnificent internal worlds can we create to match this kind of like wild, transforming external world that we're doing? But yeah.
Absolutely. And it's interesting that you chose the word wild, and we'll talk about what's coming up in August too, that is very much about wild, because it's an interesting juxtaposition. Because when you think about the word, I think a lot of people at first, when they hear the word wild, it's sort of like the image of something uncontrolled and sort of like unpredictable. And I think sometimes there's this program running inside of the collective, I'll just call it that, about wanting certainty. And right now we're being faced with so much uncertainty, politically, with rapidly, so like advances in AI and tech so quickly, and other things, natural disasters, all kinds of, heavy duty things, right? So jobs, all kinds of things. And so that uncertainty piece is like wanting to go back to that safety piece. And the wildness that you're talking about is about feeling safe in being wild. And I'm just curious, my sense of it, and I want to hear your sense of it in a moment too, in this conversation, is that what you're trying to bring back when you talk about the word wild, is that safety and wildness, that safety, and where that safety actually is rooted is in being connected to yourself. And when I say being connected to yourself, it's being connected to your multidimensional awareness, your creative essence, which is that at the heart of it is that responsibility, like that being open and willing to notice how you're channeling, or are you just living on default mode and then wondering why things keep happening the way they are, and not seeing any connections. Artists are all about pattern recognition and seeing connections that other people in a new way, right? So, and that's your mark making is about that, and even intelligence is about pattern recognition, right? So that creative intelligence is connected very much to human intelligence. So when you talk about, I love that you mentioned like the visionary, things like the pyramids and cities, but at what cost, and I know that you're also a sister in soul and spirit in business as a feminine frequency business leader yourself now. Woohoo! Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That you've taken vows to uphold, this more conscious, humility, integrity filled, vision of what you are, co-creating with the universe. So I'm just curious, when you use the word wild, you know, what comes to mind? Because I feel like it's almost like you're reclaiming the word wild through how you're engaging with it and organizing things that support people to reconnect with their own inner wildness.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, I don't like wild to me is it's a freedom. This is like why we hold that. Yeah, for me, it's just like the freedom to like run wild. Like I want to like run in a field and just be like, wow, like that's one layer is just like the space to like move and yell and cry and sing and dance, whatever it is. It's the actual space to do that, which if you live in certain places, like you can't run down the street screaming, you know what I mean? Or you could, but it's the way we've designed like suburbs and cities. A lot of them aren't conducive to like the freedom of movement, and because I think our embodied space, it shapes the way we think and like the way we move. Like we're very like computer, da, 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 and if maybe you go to another country and there's more freedom, they're dancing, there's less buildings, there's less fewer cars. So all that to say, like for me, wild is for me, it's the ability to like run wild and have open space, open sky, like the ability to think. And I love that you said safety, because that is like a huge part of it that I maybe hadn't consciously thought of, but that's absolutely tied into it, is like feeling the safety and ability to tap into the parts of yourself that you hadn't been able to because of societal conditioning, or fill in the blank, any such thing. And another great thing about like wild nature is the patterns that come out of it. Like nature is magnificent, right? Like, so our retreats in the Pacific Northwest, and like you have ferns and they're just like these little curls unfurling, and fiddlehead ferns, you can eat them, and you can eat these little spirals, and you think about a snowflake and like how intricately lovely they all are, and the way that the rivers flow. And so there's all these patterns happening around you, just like nature is doing this dance. And by removing yourself from like kind of like the buzz of regular city society, you can tap into these other patterns, both tap into the other patterns, and then actually like find what your patterns are, or how you want to move and how you want to think and how you want to feel. So in doing so, with nature as a teacher, like holding us, and then with like a selected group of like awesome women, we can really like harness that synergy for our own inner agency and growth. And who knows what will come out of it, like it's an exploration. So much like the drawing the unconscious, it's like it's an experiment, it's an exploration, and just a way to like bring more joy into the world. Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful. And I feel people are really hungry for that right now, especially post pandemic. Like we're out of it. We've been out of it for a while, but there's still a lot of unfurling that's going on, for people, because there was this sort of caged in feeling, right? Of, mentally, physically, emotionally, and even spiritually, like, and what you're talking about is the antithesis to that, right? Like it's the meaning making, the entrainment through nature, you know, of two different, like you said, rhythms, and probably rhythms that are more natural in a sense because they're not so much programmed rhythms as organic rhythms that,
Mm.
you know, mirror and remind us of our own true divine nature, right? And, you know, and our place in the larger, you know, world and cosmos, you know, the stars, the earth, everything, the waters. And I think that's so healing for people right now to have that opportunity just to give themselves permission to go somewhere like your retreat in August and just know that it's safe to explore those aspects of themselves that maybe they had to kind of pinch off or, you know, put over here, you know, with a juice box and a cookie in the backseat of the car. You know what I mean? And just, you know, and or you know, in order to just get through the day or do their job or care for other people. And what you said too is you don't the that's a kind of again, this is like the the medicine, right? Because sometimes what stresses people out the most is uncertainty these days, and yet the beautiful uncertainty of creativity is where the healing is. I know in the jungle in Mexico, there are two trees, and I cannot remember for the life of me the names of them. There was a Mayan artist who actually explained that to me. There's one tree that has not a tree that likes to be hugged. It has spikes on it, you know. So it's like I don't do hugs kind of tree, you know. But
Yeah.
and right
Boundaries.
beside
It has boundaries.
exactly trees with boundaries. I love that. Yeah. And then the other one is a tree that has like if you happen to bump up or rub against that tree, it'll give you a rash. And the other tree that grows beside it is a red bark tree that if you peel the bark off and soak it, you can make it like a medicine, I guess. I'll just say it simply that you can place on top of your skin to help ease the discomfort. So it's like those two trees, he said, always grow together side by side. That's nature mirroring to us. It's the same thing. So the uncertainty that we were all, you're inspiring me right now, the uncertainty that people feel out there in the world right now, that's one experience of uncertainty. And then there's that beautiful creative uncertainty where infinite possibilities are just awaiting you to discover them. And and to have that counterbalance and to make friends with uncertainty and not just sort of see it as dun dun dun, not a good thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's incredibly restorative and incredibly like balm for the soul on steroids. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. And I think like, okay, speaking on that uncertainty, like if we can create our world, our external world shaped more into something that's conducive to people feeling that the creative uncertainty is actually exciting and not like the uncertainty of like I can't pay my bills, like I can't eat, I can't feed my like the struggle is real, and like the way we've built our system is it's out. I guess it's just the difference of scarcity and like abundance. Like we're constantly worried, and we've institutionalized this so that it is real. Like you will get removed from your apartment, like you will not have enough food, like so that is real. And how can we harness like this abundance mindset or the creative, yeah, I like how you said it, like the creative possibility, and mirror that in the outside world so that it's a reciprocal flow more so that like something we have to retreat from society, like ideally we don't have to retreat, we just live in this world, but like we're not there yet. So that's part of the work too, I think. Yeah.
ooh, that's I'm getting goosebumps as you're sharing that. That's such a beautiful vision. You know, I just heard the word joy generators, right? You know,
Generators.
because that's the thing. It's as you were speaking, even like the frequency of that vision that you're holding, and it's such a beautiful one. Is it's a and you summed it up beautifully between scarcity and abundance, right? That we this is I think the invitation and also the initiation we all have before us right now. And this is how we can also collectively feed the field of the collective energy and pay it forward for everyone. Like, we're all, as they say, exactly where we need to be. And at the same time, when you can dare to step out of your comfort zone, flatten out that cardboard box, and, go on a retreat like when you're hosting, or, pick up a pen or a pencil and just doodle because it feels good, not because you're going to achieve anything, you're going to get paid more money because you did it, or because you're going to get recognition for it, or because it's going to hang in a gallery and there'll be press and social media coverage. No, just because it feels good to connect with your creativity. And then your children see you doing that, or your elderly parents see you doing that, or your friends see you doing that. And it gives them permission to do the same. And these little micro choices that we take responsibility for, with a different, different focus on, the creative possibilities, and noticing how good that feels to connect with that, even if it's for 5 minutes a day or 5 minutes a week, until you just start. It's like with food, like, they used to say, like, and I love this idea, like, instead of trying to get the not good stuff out, that's, like the junk food or whatever, add the good food in and it'll crowd out the bad, the so-called bad stuff, right? And it's the same thing with these creative moments. Like, what might feel like an indulgence at first, if you've been on a certain pathway in your life, like, ooh, I get to draw with my toes, like you were mentioning earlier. And it's like, oh, decadent, and then it's like, ooh, but this is a different sweetness and decadence, that it's a soulful decadence. And as you shared, what will emerge through that is a beautiful uncertainty that flourishes and is fruitful in ways that, in hindsight, you could never. It's beyond your wildest dreams. And it comes back to your how you help people with their dreams, by helping them to access and tap into. And I think the biggest, most beautiful thing you're doing with your work is you're giving women who tend to often be focused on other people, who and caring for them, or doubting themselves because they were maybe programmed to hem themselves in a little bit, or get approval, or please other people. You're giving them permission to remember who they truly are authentically. And once they are tapped into, dialed into, tuned into that truth of who they really are, then those core needs are met and nourished, and from within. So then they can go out into the world, and they can really then take the actionable steps, so that their dreams become lived, beautiful creations and realities and manifestations. So this is, I just want to, I'm hungry to highlight the value of the work you do for anyone who's listening right now. And I'm just really curious. I'm going to take a quick peek in the chat. Oh, we've got some comments. I'm just going to go over there right now. Okay. Oh, thank you, Stephanie. Hello, Goddess Queen. Hey, Steph. Another FFP sister. Yes, the pencil. That is a great perspective to think about. Laughter is the best medicine, and hearts. Okay, thank you, Steph, for joining us on the call today. And for anyone else who's watching live or on the replay, feel free to comment below. We'd love to hear your thoughts, your co-contribute to our, the field that we're contributing to together here with this conversation. It's all creative, good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to hear from you. That's the most exciting thing. It's like, who's out there? Like, 11:11 West Coast time.
Ooh, lovely. Okay, on that perfect note, I'd love you to share the deets about your retreat. What can people expect? When is it? Where is it? What kinds of, you got lots of juicy good things happening on your retreat.
Yeah. So it is at the Coastland Campground on the Olympic Peninsula, Washington State, August 7th through 9th. So it's going to be 3 days of, we basically created the weekend that, like, I wanted to exist in the world. Like, so we have, for women, like, we have hot oil massage, we have songbirds, like really awesome musicians that are going to sing in the woods. We have facilitated circle where we get to speak. I'm going to do drawing the unconscious. We have my lovely friend Morgan, who's going to do a plant walk and teach us about the native plants. We have lymphatic drainage massage. We're going to jump in the river. There's a sauna, dance party. Need I say more? I don't know. I want it to be all the time at this retreat. So.
Oh my gosh, I so want to be there.
Yeah,
It's
we'll come.
oh well, you know, it sounds. I love how you said the weekend that of your dreams, right? You know, that you would have loved to have had, and now you've and this is what I'm talking about with creative possibilities. I hope everyone's hearing what we're sharing today, right? You get to choose. You get to decide. You know, if it just if it lights you up, why aren't you doing it? You know, just pick up that pencil, go to that retreat, you know, dance like no one is watching, and just be open and curious and see what comes forward from it. You know, what I'm going to do is I'll I'll link some details below in the show notes very shortly about your retreat, Ellie, so that that way people have a way that they can connect with you. Um, and you're also on Instagram.
Yep.
What's your handle again? It's
My
just
handle
for
is Elli, so elli.smith.coaching on Insta. So yeah, hit me up. All my stuff's on there. So
beautiful. And you also do coaching too. Do you want to share a little bit about that as well, in case
yeah,
anyone's
so yeah, thanks. So I'm doing the retreat obviously as like a group container, and then I do one-on-one virtual coaching. So if anyone's interested, I'm doing like a 3-month length at a time. So if you want to do more like hands-on and we work together to create something, your dream life, hopefully. Also hit up an exploration call and we can chat and see if we're a good fit, you know? And yeah, and in the fall, I'm doing another project called the Imagination Project. And that's going to be a group creative cohort meeting online, developing like, so everyone's going to come with their idea from their imagination, and then we're going to design and prototype it. And then we're going to meet up at the end for a smaller retreat. So those are my offerings, the one-on-one, the retreats, and then the creative cohorts with the Imagination Project.
oh, I love it because I just feel like there's so many people I've encountered in my own journey who are walking around there out there in the world saying, you know, I'd love to do this. Wouldn't it be wonderful if I could do X, Y, and Z? And it still keeps getting shelved. And I think one of the reasons, you know, I'm curious too if you want to share, that people tend to shelve their dreams is because the moment they get excited about them, then there's another internal voice that starts piping in that says, "Who are you to write that book or go on, you know, go do create that artwork or that vision of yours that just lit you up?" And it's kind of like a push pull internal conflict, yes but energy that comes up, and that moment, that creative impulse where something sparks inside of you, it can just be as quickly kind of snuffed out, right? And so the beauty of working with someone like you as a coach or going on a retreat is to have that safety, have that person walking beside you who will help you to navigate the, you know, the ups and downs that come through the creative journey, and at the same time are the fertilizer for the soul. They are the aspects that will actually help you to nourish and flourish whatever it is that you're envisioning, and even just break it down into actionable steps and witness the journey with you from that healthy perspective, so that when those inner voices pipe in and pipe up, there's a safe place where you can talk about it and just rechannel that energy back into what you're creating, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The reason why we don't, our dreams can be challenging is because there's some internal block that like has to shift in order for it to happen. And that's the hard, invisible work that nobody sees. Like, or else you'd already be doing your dream, which some people are already doing great, you know? And if there's like something you want, but there's like a block in the way, it's usually you're unaware of it, or you're aware. I've even been aware of blocks and then still been like, I'm stuck in this. So that's where coaching is brilliant. And I have coaches as well that just, yeah, it's like holding up a mirror and saying, look at you, this is you, you know, and then like, what's this area here? And it's like, ooh, that's this. And like, let's work on that so that you can live the life that you feel in your heart is possible. And like, our desires are pulling us forward. So like, let's follow them, you know?
Oh, I love that. Such a great note to end on. Let those desires call you forward. Let them be, everything, and just honor them and trust them. Elli, it's been so wonderful having you on the show today. I'd love to have you back again, and keep sharing what you're doing, because people need it so much right now. And creating is medicine. It really is. There was a Mayan, I think it was Barbara Hand Clow, in one of her books, talked about like creating is more fun than curing, and I so believe that. Like it's like let's just play with the possibilities. So thank you for playing with the possibilities today, and it was such an enjoyable chat. And on that note, everyone, please feel free to drop a comment below. And until we meet again, wishing you infinite creative blessings and infinite creative possibilities and abundance. Lots of love and light. Be well.
Yeah. Thank you, Pollyanna.